The number you have dialed is not a long distance call.
Okay, so
Do not dial the
9 and then just the number. Well, nobody looked terribly clear on how to do it. 980
No, no.
9264
9264.
5492. We'll see.
You would think with all the computers we have that it'd be able to route that on its own with.
All right, one more time.
9850
9850.
5492. Well, yeah, nobody looked the 10 digits now.
Please leave your message for 85026454992.
Please leave him a voicemail.
Huh?
Leave him a voicemail.
Oh, don't worry about it.
It's over. It's no good.
Alas.
No, just record it for the next 2 hours and, let him deal with the voicemail.
Exactly. Put it on record.
Um,
So you were saying the last page?
Yeah, on the last page, and this got a word in it that's going to keep on coming back up and up. With the files of AOR, annual evaluations and student evaluations, because a lot of times the faculty get these done and they're submitted to the next in line who is going to sign it, and they never see another copy of it again. And the only copy they have is going to be not signed by anybody. All right. I've requested a series of AORs to be able to look at a different issue. And in that particular issue, over half of the AORs had no signatures on them, period. And these are supposed to be state documents that are supposed to be held by the university. They're supposed to be part of the permanent file and everything. And when we have people who struggle trying to get copies of these so that they can put them in their tenure and promotion packet, I think it makes more sense that the case manager would actually be able to do these, because the case manager is going to be someone in the administrative channel who more likely than not actually signed something for them before, and before it was sent on up the chain, because faculty normally in most colleges do not have any access whatsoever to an AOR that is signed, because a lot of them are handed to the faculty, blank signature with no signature, not even of the person providing the AOR to them. And later they never get communicated with a signed AOR. And that's why we put in that C, because it's more on the part of the administration to house these documents than it is on the part of the faculty, because the faculty very rarely, if ever, gets them back from anyone. And the faculty has to go, has to request to go into their permanent file to see if they are actually there, and they may not be there. And then where's the faculty stand when they are required to put the AORs on the, in their tenure and promotion packet, when they don't have access to, where the administration must have access to them, because these are documents that are required by the state.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's most of the other things in here. I think I would look at the other part, which is item D, and that kind of gives us an opportunity to correct something. Because when the person uploads the CV is supposed to be everything they're supposed to be reviewing. And if we, what happens in the case of somebody says, I uploaded the file and the system ate my file and it doesn't show up.
Shouldn't we be able to go behind
Hmm? You can if we, well, theoretically, if we owned the system and we knew how it was done, we could do that. But I mean, I have had transactions with my bank where I know what I did and I know it was submitted. And the bank's going, got no record of it. And I'm going, do I have to take a screenshot of everything I do? Because my thing said it was uploaded and it never got up. You know, and if we want anything that's more regulated in the banking system, I don't know what it is, because they've got to have every last thing in there. But when I go and I do a transaction and I know I did it, it said confirmed, and I write down a confirmation number and it doesn't go through, and I call the bank and they say we have no record of it, you know, and the number I gave, the confirmation number I gave them is, you know, is nowhere. I think that's what we're trying to, you know, we're trying to deal with, because, you know, we've got one right now where, you know, we've just submitted arbitration on it, where person says they did something and nobody's got any evidence that it didn't appear on their thing 3 months later, and nobody knows how it appears. But they figured the faculty member hacked the system and got into it. You know, and that's what we're trying to keep out of this. That if they've got it listed in their CV and it doesn't show up in the right spot or something like that, they would still be given an opportunity to correct that, you know, correct that particular thing. Because we're supposed to be evaluating them on their work, and you know, so that's where I would be on that.
And we can talk about that, I guess.
Mhm.
So essentially 2 issues with the language we countered with in 11.9, and that is in C and that is in D.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The rest of it, you know, I'd like it to be in there, but we can go and we can upload that on our own, and, you know, and have the faculty deal with that.
Okay. I think that was all we had in the way of proposals. That was in response to your February 21st
Mhm.
proposal. So I think
But anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was
Before we move on.
moving on.
The language in 11.9, and I believe it is number 2.
See? He's all the way down last page. Yep. Mhm.
So, I'm sorry, number 2. So if the files uploaded to the archival system must be transferred or referred to a different portal for evaluation, then the university will provide access to that portal to the faculty member by July 31st of the calendar year of submission.
Mhm.
So the transference, what? Wasn't really what's meant by either the transfer or the referral to a different portal.
Well, the referral to a different portal is if you find out that next year that there's a system that's way better than what you've got. And, you know, it's like our migration from Blackboard to Canvas.
Okay.
Right? You know, you find out there's a system that's way better and you decide to opt on that system. You know, we would like to have anything transferred over so that it would be still available to the faculty member. Because remember, if you've got somebody who goes and, let's say they apply this year for assistant professor. And in 4 years, they come back and they're going to apply for associate professor. You know, can they get that stuff so that they don't have to go back and redo everything, redo everything every time they're going through a thing like that? I mean, in the old days, I'd sit down at my typewriter and, put it on a piece of paper, but I
Put it in
kept,
the binder.
I'd keep that in the binder and I'd know it was there and I didn't have to go back and retype the whole thing.
Right, I'm clear.
Yeah.
But my concern is that number 2, that's not what it states. So I would suggest that some of the language be, because we're talking hypothetically. So in the event
Right.
that the archival system is a newly adopted archival system
Mhm.
is introduced, we would have to give appropriate notice to faculty who have files that are already in the current archival system, and then appropriate time and opportunity to transition or transfer to the newly adopted archival system. So my concern was that what you just explained is not what's stated in number 2. And so that would be some revised language, but I wanted to get some clarity from you before suggesting any type of revision. Because it's, I don't know that we necessarily want to.
Yeah, all right.
Because this is hypothetical.
Right, there's a hypothetical part. Then there's the other part. Because if we're dealing with oh, come on. If we're dealing with the current one we have, I can't, faculty member can't get access to the university part. All right. Until you guys clear out current year's data, right? So right now, since the board has not gone through and approved and made known who is not, if I were submitting my application for this fall, I have to go through their individual portal to be able to upload my material and try and get my material into the right spots. And then, I think we were looking at being able to do that earlier as well. And,
Well, I don't know.
and that might be what we had down here as well.
Okay.
But again, I go back and I understand when you said that you really don't clear out the system until after the board has had the opportunity to look at it. And normally that occurs in June.
Correct.
Right. And since you can't clear it out, you can't make it available to the faculty member until then, that's where we were looking at hopefully having a much earlier date for that so that the faculty member could be proactive and get their stuff up quickly before.
Okay, and I understand that. So what is number 2 saying? Is number 2 speaking to the hypotheticals that in the event that the university adopts a new archival system, we have to give you appropriate notice? Or is number 2 speaking to the fact that you want faculty to have earlier access to the system after the previous application cycle has ended? Which is it?
Yes.
So it sounds like language to address those.
I think it's both. I think it's
I
both.
think that would help.
I
with
think
clarification.
that
Yeah.
can't be captured in just this one statement. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to need to revise this so that it speaks to
That is
both.
an easy revision.
Yeah, I think request speak to both. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's, I figured it
We're,
as
we're,
much.
yeah,
but I
we're
wanted to hear it
unanimous
from
on that.
you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
yeah.
assume. Okay,
Yes,
That works.
that would be both.
okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right, and so you'll be proposing perhaps a revised language for that 1.9A2.
Yes, on
to
that
reflect sort of
particular
both-
part,
Both
on
of
that-
those
yeah,
prongs of-
on that particular part.
Cool.
Mhm. you guys will take under consideration. Okay.
All right, I have in my notes that we, in our last session, um, provided Article 8 and Article 9 to you.
Article 9, we have been able to look at. Right, Article 9. And, you know, this would be our. I got pass them over that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
they haven't, no, they haven't been able to review 8. Is that what?
Yeah, we have not been able to. I know there were several, I'm going to call it orthographic things in Article 8. And the orthographic things in Article 8, you know, did not look like they had any problems to it, but we're, you know, we haven't gotten quite to that spot. All right, in Article 9, there are some things in the beginning. The part on policy is just you know, theoretical, because we're university professors and we'd like to have things mapped out in the theory, you know, the of things that we would like to do. Some of the stuff in 9.2 is basically just establishing what is in there, but it's putting it into a more of a tabular form. There are a few additions or modifications in it, but they are, I believe they are a little bit minor. The blue stuff is mostly what you've got. On the top of the 3rd page is something that Madam Moore and I agreed on last time, and apparently I never got it. What is it? I never got it signed off on. And that says that the AOR must be signed by the administrator making the assignment before presenting it to the faculty member. AORs are administrative appointments of assignment of responsibilities. And if I'm being assigned something by the administrator, since the faculty member acknowledges receipt with their signature of it, it needs to have the administrator's signature on it when it is given to them. Because otherwise I come up with the grievance and they say, well, it's not signed by the administrator, we can't do it. Fully, you know, I got a 270-page response to a, you know, a request for information. And fully half of the assignment of responsibilities had no signature on it. And this is what the university is saying that you guys are collecting as documents, right? I mean, somebody sent me something today going on. What do you mean, we're, you know, the BOT wants faculty to be responsible for what they do, right? Everybody wants everybody to be responsible. And we're all going down under a, you know, under a thing, and therefore we would, you know, that's something that I think we can agree upon, needs to be in there, so that we can, you know, so that we can at least tell these administrators, hey, you've got to sign it before you give it to somebody. On change of assignment, this is due to a lot of complaints we've had, and basically we've got people who come in and say, hey, I got to change your assignment today, right? Well, why? Well, I just have to, because, you know, some reason or another, I got a class. I mean, I had one where they came up to me on the first day of the semester and they said, can you teach this class for us? right? Now, in that particular case, the faculty member had died over Christmas break. And I know there was no way they could get me advance notice of that, right? But I looked at him, looked at the course material, and I said, yeah, I can do that. But that's different than coming in and, you know, a week before the semester starts, say, you know, in the fall, let's say, hey, we're going to give you this class over here because we gave your class to this person over there. And that's what we're trying to avoid in there. You know, if you can't do that and it happens twice, then that faculty member gets a pass the next year. If you're going to change somebody's thing, change somebody's assignment the year after, do somebody else. Because I get too many faculty who keep on going. Every year they're changing my assignment, right? And it's only me. I only hear from one person. It's only me, and they're getting, you know, they're going after me. And then the last part down there, it's, you know, I hear them say, you know, oh, this is retaliatory, but, you know, the same way, I don't want to say it's retaliatory. If it's done in accordance with Article 16, hey, you guys are perfectly within your right to do that, right? So, you know, we've got that. And then down on the bottom in here, you know, I'm making a case to D1. I'm making a case that you guys would be responsible to put it up to the promotion files by the, you know, because you guys have, you know, have the copies of them. You know, you guys have the final copies of them. All right, then where are we at? If we're looking at 10.9 or 10.10, what is that? 9.10.
9.11, I think.
Give me a moment. No, 9.10. 9.10. No, I want 9.10. If we are looking at D1, my English professor has told me I need to remove those two words, to include, right? She keeps on telling me that that's vague, if I, you know, is to include, but we're saying what appreciable university support is, so that those two words would be in there. All right, and
Support is support.
appreciable university support is support, you know, the support that is significantly, you know, is not to include, it is support that's significantly beyond the traditional support that's provided to the faculty.
Is there a word you can
Yeah.
clarify?
So, yeah.
Yeah, support is redundant. You say, I would-
There's
I
three
would
of
recommend
them.
some-
It's used 3 times.
Right.
Well, you
I
see,
mean,
that's
just the
why us
observation.
scientists need to have
But maybe you
good
just-
English
maybe
teachers.
you strike through the word to include support that. So you could say appreciable university support is significantly beyond the traditional support.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we have too many supports in that one.
Yeah.
but we want the faculty to be supported,
Oh, I agree.
and we want the administration to be
You
supported.
wanted appreciably.
Yes. All right. Now on 9.11, there's been a little modification in there. We've been dealing with the concept of AORs and what's on the AORs, and the fact that we got, you know, the provost got up there and he's decided to modify the AOR calculations. On our particular part, we've seen absolutely no reason to do that, right? And after I went through these 270 pages of AORs, I just became more inflamed and realized that he really had no reason to do that. But between that and the document that came out, we at least looked at it and said that there is a bit of reason in the way this is, because sometimes people have been abusive on their AORs, And rather than wait for you guys to hand us something, we decided to be a little bit proactive. All right. Now there's one major change in here. We're trying to get back to the 12-hour rule. And FAMU has traditionally been a 15-hour thing. And so, we just changed, 15 to 12 because we feel that would be the proper way to do it. We've broken classroom instruction down, saying that the classroom, classroom instruction includes those courses that are taught in a traditional classroom or in a hybrid or online method, because we that's what we normally think of. And, we break that down talking about the graduate and undergraduate courses. Then we broke out the part on directed individual studies. And directed individual studies include, as we could see it, what we commonly call directed individual studies, thesis, dissertation, and supervision, supervised research, special problems, individual performance instruction, and supervision of interns. Because all of those are done in a little bit different fashion than the traditional classroom. Because the traditional classroom is quite intensive on the instructor to make sure that they've got everything together properly before they go and present it. And whereas directed individual study, I can flip that out in a couple of minutes and hand it to the student. Do this, right? And let them do all the work. And that happens the same way with dissertation supervision, supervised research, special problems, individual performance instruction, and supervision of interns. Because all of those are, you're not actually there with the student all the time as you're supervising. All right. And it says the percent effort, calculated will be based on contact hours per student enrolled. When we haven't removed the direct individual studies will be offered at the approval of the dean. But I did add, but should not be used for regular courses in the statewide numbering system. One of the, and where that comes in is like this. One of the things that has happened to me many times is they tell me, hey, you only got 3 students in your undergraduate class. That's not going to work. Now, we want you to teach it as a regular class, but we're going to put it down as a DIS. So you're going to do the regular work that you did normally for them, but we're going to call it a DIS, and we're only going to give you 0.5 contact hours per student. So I get 1.5 contact hours to do a four contact hour course. And this has happened continuously where Florida statute says in that particular case, it's based on contact hours and not because you're doing a traditional course and you're just calling it a DIS. So, I've put down in here that the regular courses that we have should not be considered to be DIS. I think Dr. Onwanley would like that because when you do a DIS, later on, you got to change it and put in a regular course number for it. So we're actually avoiding the system by doing a change of grade card when we do it. Okay. And then in here, rather than put in the values, because I seriously have not gone over the values at this point. It says these courses will have a limited number of students per course, right? And the value could, the value should be mutually agreed upon by us. And I don't think we are too far apart on these, okay? The other part we were looking at is other instructional efforts in a professional setting. The other instructional efforts in a professional setting, what we put down there is we've listed out practicums, clinicals, and other instruction which is offered in a clinical situation by faculty, including but not limited to disciplines in pharmacy, allied health, and nursing. And these are those crazy ones where they go out, they spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of energy, and they spend a lot of everything to try and get that class together so that their students have a meaningful thing. And it's not unheard of for them to actually spend 16 hours. And when I say 16 hours, get there at 6 o'clock in the morning and not get done until the end of the 12-hour shift, but they had to be in the hospital or the place the previous day for 4 hours to go through who all the patients are to see who would be relevant to going to look at. And these particular things, I think, are being somewhat underrated in there. Okay. We went down. Where's the next thing? And we've got that.
F1.
Yeah, class size. F1. The blues were pretty much your part. The reds are pretty much our part. We looked at it and we discussed that on the people with these greater demand on the instructor, and we've got not limited to composition, mathematics, speech, conversational foreign language. And I know you guys have struck out mathematics, and when you start doing the math, which our governor seems to think is extremely important, because we were out there talking about math textbooks on the TV the other day, right? In order to do the math correctly, our students have to be well versed in mathematics. Where I can remember taking a chemistry course that had 1,800 students in the lecture, I can never remember having a mathematics course that had any more than 25. And so we put down in here, maximum class size of 25, which is what is in there. And you guys have said that's fine. Enrollment of 26 to, you had 34. We're suggesting 33 students shall afford a 50% increase. And then we put the second part with a limit of 40, because
The ranges match. So
yeah,
range at the
we
top
wanted to
is
have a max in there, because otherwise we could go and say, oh, wait a second, if we can pay you 100% more and we can go and have 275 in there, which is a little bit more than, not saying that we would do that, but most of these classrooms that these teachers use, these instructors use, are going to be less than, less than 40 individuals in it. And so we put a limit in there, and we would like to have an upper limit in there.
Okay.
Little bit of modification. Which, yeah.
25. It seems like 25.
Yeah.
And that's where it is, 25 or
Mhm.
25.
Yeah, the way we worked out the percentage is kind of, because we weren't doing the math real good. It's about 25%, because, it was 1/3 to go from 76 to 100, and then 20% to go from 100 to 120, and that's kind of the breakdown we used on this bottom part down here. Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Let's just sign off on it.
This might be expensive.
Mr. Larkin, when I look at this, and when we look at these things, it might be expensive, but it might not, because one of the things that we realize, because of what is happening with AOR modification, is that the university is out of compliance, because we have a majority of the AORs that don't have 80% in classroom instruction. And the ones I really love are the AORs where I see that the faculty member will have 75% classroom instruction, 5% service, 20% research, and then 2 overload classes of 40%. And when you do that, you're going, wait a second, you know, where does it come up that an administrator will put this together in a manner that the administration does not meet the 80% threshold that is required? Because the faculty members teaching 100% classroom stuff or 105% classroom stuff, and then they've got an overload on something else. Because when DOE goes out and looks at that AOR, they go, not in compliance, because they didn't meet the 80% threshold. And that's where it becomes costly for the university. Because if we really went down and we looked at these AORs properly, and you had proper administrators creating them properly, instead of having the administrator say to the faculty member, here, fill it out and give it back to me, it would be possible, I believe, for the university to save money, even going to 12 hours. Just
I think probably we should take the caucus and maybe discuss 11.9 and look at Article 9.
Okay.
What? No.
Unless there's anything further.
What do you mean
Right.
oh,
Well-
what's
No, I think we might have some further
research
comment.
one, research two?
Right. I mean, basically, we need to, so Roscoe, your point is you want to create room in faculty's AORs to actually support the mission of the university going from an R2 to an R1.
Oh, all right. Now,
There's a lot of, so here, I'll jump in. There are a lot of ways. why this
Roscoe.
proposal- Yeah.
The standard thing is,
communication.
and that's happened so many times, it's you're taking my hair off. I mean, all right, now I got it.
The important thing though here is that this is an important issue. It may have an economic impact, it may not. If you anticipate an economic impact, we welcome you to calculate what it might be. And we can talk about numbers and concrete information. But the important thing here is that the university's stated mission is to go from an R2 to an R1. If we don't get faculty workloads under control, there's no it will be incredibly difficult for the faculty to actually support that mission. The FAMU would be well served to empower faculty to support the university's goals. Right now, faculty are drowning in work. Right now, faculty, these slight cap adjustments may seem like a minor point, or it may seem frivolous, but it's vitally important for faculty to actually be able to teach FAMU students in a thorough and competent and thoughtful way. Increased workloads make that difficult. That's what we're saying. So there are also university self-interest is involved here as well.
All right.
So caucus.
Yeah, I think that might be a good
Oh,
idea.
actually, there is one thing I wanted to bring up. You and I spoke before the session regarding the MOU. We would appreciate a signature from the university from the MOU because we want to go ratify it as soon as possible. So when do we imagine we could get that?
Let me talk to legal.
Okay,
And
after caucus? Fantastic.
I
We
don't
appreciate
know caucus, I don't know where all of my legal representative here.
Mhm.
Nicole, you are admitted.
So for caucus purposes, you guys want to go back to the previous conference room and let the union speak?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry, I missed something.
We were trying to figure out where the caucus.
Yeah.
That's a great.
We
Where do you
yeah.
want us to talk? Where do you
We
want?
can go back to the EOP conference room if you all like, and you guys are welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Mhm. I thought we were going to the brew place down there. Um,
Now we're going to cost.
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Huh?
It's still on, it's still on. So
No?
watch it out. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
You may need to, you may need to
Ah.
put your pin on,
huh?
new pin.
Oh, we do it military style, man.
I
You know,
just
so-
thought-
so when you hear-
Just put his on.
Oh, when you hear the, well, that's because he hadn't done it right. We're gonna, you know, when you hear the scream, you're gonna know it was put on right.
Oh,
But you know,
Oh.
it's still streaming, so, just so you know,
It's streaming live on YouTube.
it's live now, so. Watch the, yeah, so you want to mute or unplug it.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right, obviously, we're gonna need some time to look at Article 9.
Mhm.
There's, you know, some numbers in here, and some percentages in here, some wording in here that we kind of need to think through
Mhm.
and get some input from finance, provost office, and so forth, before we can fashion a response to that. Article 11, there's a couple of things in Article 11. Obviously, you're going to provide us some language on 11.982. We are going to look at 11.9. B. Is it B? No, it's C and D. You're right. C and D. You know, I think from our perspective, we are at least sitting here today, we're probably not inclined to the changes in C. And then with respect to D, we will come back with some clarity in language that makes, you know, that makes certain what our position is on D. So I guess given the fact that we're already at 3, I think we got a board meeting 4. So, and that's probably where some of our legal team has gone to prepare for, and more been some to answer questions.
We will have a response on Article 8 and
Okay.
the Article 11 for the next one. We were hoping we had another issue that might be.
The other issue, the MOU.
Oh, yeah.
Let me.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to speak to
Yeah.
that. At the very least, I will call you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Obviously deal with getting their input on that. I don't foresee a problem, I'll say that much, to sign it as a representative. Obviously, without board ratification, it's not ratified, but at least if that can get the ball rolling for your side to ratify it, so when we go to board in June, we can say this has already been ratified.
So
That makes sense to me.
it would be going to the board in June.
That portion will be. The settlement agreement will be going to the board today. And that concerns the settlement of the arbitration and the non-recurring wage increase.
Okay.
Non-recurring with compensation, the
Okay.
$2,000. I'll just call it the $2,000.
Right.
And then the other portion, which is not owed or due to be paid until some date in August. I don't have the agreement in front of me, but it's
Right.
the end of August. Yeah. That will
Well,
go-
it's going to be, I guess it's going to be incorporated into the salary for
I
the
would-
next year.
I would assume so. That's why we need to get it in front of the June board to get ratified. So that's why you want it signed. So you can get it before
Right.
your group and ratified, so that when we walk out of that board meeting in early June, then we're set to have it incorporated in the salaries.
Because if it's incorporated in the salary, you start getting paid with each pay period, but it's going to be paid over the entire year, correct? Yeah.
It should be. That
Yeah.
would be- I mean, that would be the increase would be.
Where the other
and
one
then you
is,
calculate the 2,400 or whatever it is. I'm speaking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Calculate that into your base pay over however many pay periods. it
it's
should start.
minimum of 2,400, so if you want to go up,
Right,
we
right.
won't argue too much on
We
that.
did agree that we would not charge you with the unilateral change in working conditions. So there is that. Yeah.
I'm glad you waived that.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's nice. But I will, if I don't have an answer for you later today, Dr. McCann, I will definitely have one for you tomorrow. And I anticipate that answer would be that it's signed.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
and that's going to be divided into the two pieces.
Yeah, we're
The
gonna
MO.
do them separately.
Okay.
One is more of a ratification that requires a union,
Mhm.
a board approval of that, and
Mhm.
then the other is more of a settlement of a
Mhm.
pending.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes,
All right.
as we saw that. Okay.
I like you all's new pens. That's pretty snazzy.
Thank you.
It's kind of hard to read without
Oh, well,
I don't know.
they handed it to me. I can't-
No, that's classified. No, that's classified.
Yeah,
All right, well,
doesn't
listen,
say
what-
made in China, you know, which is good.
what
Should we
we-
discuss dates or what?
I don't
You
know
can't,
because I don't
right.
have Shira and Dr. Wallace here.
All right,
We'll circulate an email.
the, what is it? Where's the sign-in sheet? We've got the
All
sign-in sheet.
right.
We have the same instinct. You got it.
Don't get it, don't get out with it, don't get out of the sign-in sheet without, without having it, I mean.
So we'll send an email, try to schedule it. We will count, yes. We will
Um,
counter 11 next time. You'll counter 9. Is there anything else we should be prepared to discuss this time?
I'm aware of at this point.
Okay.
Do we know when we're gonna do this? Next one?
But we,
We're gonna send some dates.
Okay. Oh, it's coming up on the summer now, isn't it?
Who wants to do this in the summer?
Oh, believe me, I don't get paid over the summer. It's a big, we don't want faculty be uploading stuff onto the tenure thing during the summer, so. I don't want to do it when I'm not getting paid either.
excellent.
Okay, well, everybody,
Yep.
it's good to see you all, and I'll give you
You
a call tomorrow. All
right.
Does that mean we're not being until the phone?
No, it
No.
doesn't. No, we're going until this is done. We're going until this is done. No, no, we're getting this done. This needs to be done and, so we can go on to the next thing.
All right.
Okay,
Well, thanks a lot,
excellent.
everybody.
All right, All right.
Nice to actually meet all of you in person. Yeah. Yes, likewise.
Good. Dang, you ended. Everybody else.
Court. Do we have any idea on time?
I'm ready to start and everything. I think I've spoken with all the key people that I need to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can get to writing a report.
Okay, because, I've,
'Cause I got I saw your email.
yeah, I'm just filing the paperwork so that, independent of what you've got in the case that it doesn't come down in our favor, right? Which I'm hoping it will, but in the case it doesn't, we would already be able to have that process moving.
Yeah.
Because anytime we're talking about termination, it's something we want to avoid for long periods of time. All right, and so I just wanted to make sure you knew about that. I sent the paperwork over there. I dropped the paperwork over at the provost office, and I will be including you and everybody else in on it. And then I will send you a copy
Okay.
today,
Cool.
and we will go from there.
Actually, along those lines, Dr. Scott, I'll follow up with an email, but I just wanted to talk to you about Dr. Mike Watts. What for the next few, do you have openings in the next few weeks to discuss that case?
I do.
Okay, great. So I'll send you an email and we'll work a hearing.
Yeah, because I can't see that email.
Yeah.
And so just waiting for you to reach out.
Okay, I'm reaching out.
Sounds good.
You,
All right.
you